What's up, wrestling card collectors? Welcome to another edition of WTC TV, and we're doing something. We're always doing something cool here on this channel. Always doing something cool because it's always about wrestling cards. Sometimes we dip into other places, which I love talking to people from all parts of the world. We've had people on here from Malaysia, from France, from the UK, and everywhere else in between, man, in Australia, and now. We're going to talk to this gentleman right here, Mr. Rosh Gonzales. How are you, sir?
Hey, thanks for having me, Tony. I'm having a great time. I'm in Illinois right now, visiting family for the holidays. And yeah, I'm just so excited to get as much wrestling cards as I could while I'm here.
We're having you on because you've put out a series, your company, which is Fight Sport Manila, correct?
Yep.
I always think it's like Fight Sports, but it's actually Fight Sport Manila. Doing some homework on this to find out about some of your cards. You're from the Philippines.
Yep.
And which is so cool because it's to me it's so cool to talk to people from different parts of the world and getting their perspectives on the market, their collecting habits, how they collect, what they collect. But you're a step further than that in the sense that you've designed cards. And shout out to Anthony over at Husker Halves because he had made this post talking about he discovered these cards, and that was it. He was waiting to order some stuff, so I dug a little deeper, and I went because I went straight to the company, which was what was the name of that card that they put out? I think it was like World
Underground Wrestling Philippines. Yep.
Yeah. And so I saw the cards look really cool. I reached out to them, didn't get any response. Found out that you guys made the cards. I messaged you, and bam, got a quick message back from you guys like, yeah, let's talk about some wrestling cards, man. And you're like, that's not the only set I put out. And I go, what?
Definitely.
And so let's talk a little bit about that. Where did this come from? When did you start making cards? I mean, I know you do a lot of MMA stuff as well, but when did you start doing cards, man?
So I'm a card collector. That's me. Even as a kid, I'm a big fan of wrestling. First of all, thank you so much for pronouncing our company right, Fight Sport Manila, because a lot of people get it wrong. Fight Sports Manila, but it's Fight Sport. And yeah, it's a collaboration between Fight Sport Manila and a local Filipino artist. He calls himself the Nutcase, and that's his clothing brand. Yeah. And we decided to create cards because, as you can see, when it comes to indie wrestling, I don't know if it works here, but it's pretty much a niche. It's a niche product that not everyone who would be interested. Like, I would watch an indie show, but I wouldn't go like very deep into buying merch immediately. So I wanted to have that bridge or that connection wherein someone who's new to the show could get something that would be like, something that would start them to get hooked on the local wrestling scene in the Philippines. And that's why we decided to create pro wrestling cards. And you are right. First of all, World Underground Wrestling Philippines, one of the three local wrestling promotions in our country. We created cards for them, and yeah, they're pretty underground. That's why it's hard to hit them. But
when I looked up the company, I noticed that it was under the umbrella of another company that has stuff all over the world, in Germany, in the Philippines, and so like their main hub I think came out of Germany. So it was hard to, even with the translator, it was still kind of hard to kind of figure out what was going on. And there was nothing mentioned about trading cards on their website at all. It was all done through their Facebook page.
Yeah, so World Underground Wrestling, if I am not mistaken, started from Japan. Then someone from Germany created a franchise. Then the Philippine pro wrestling scene, someone there, St. John Martin, decided to have the Philippine version of World Underground Wrestling. And that cards that we created is really exclusive for the Philippine franchise or the Philippine promotion. And yeah, but definitely if the other countries would want to have the cards, they know where to find us.
Are you getting any inquiries about cards now? It seems like that these three sets. No, you're not getting any inquiries.
We
Oh,
have a lot.
oh.
Ever since you featured us in your website, you would be surprised how much people are inquiring about the cards we created. You know, we started it, like I mentioned earlier, just as a way for people to have something that they could bring home after watching a show. If you could see the PWOGs, that comes free when they buy their shirt. And the Fight Sport Manila, we give it for free, literally, to all fight fans. So it's a mix of pro wrestling and MMA, but it's dominated by pro wrestling.
This one right here, the Tony, Fight Sport.
Yeah, the Fight Sport Manila trading card. So it has 5 pro wrestlers and 2 MMA fighters.
It's an interesting card set. 'Cause this one actually, unlike the other ones, has levels of variations as well too.
Yeah, I'm like I said, I'm a card collector. I wanted to have something, and I know you would do it in your end also. Like when you're creating a product, you would want something that after 10 years, it's gonna be sought after. So we thought very well what would make this card desirable by collectors in the future, and that's creating different parallels, different variations, and that's how we did it.
Uh, which one of those three sets has been your first set you guys put out for wrestling?
So the first one is the Fight Sport Manila. The
Okay.
second is the PWOG, which comes free with the shirt. And the last one is the World Underground Wrestling. So it's pretty much during their last event of World Underground Wrestling Philippines, where they invited foreign talents. So we had to have the card. I got to have that autograph in my
Yeah.
PC, you know?
Is that part of the fun of it? Design things that you want to collect yourself?
Yeah, and I'm sure everyone who's a big fan of indie wrestling would relate to how hard it is compared to like the WWE products. They're everywhere, but I mean it's so hard to find a Will Ospreay autograph card. Furthermore, the Japanese wrestlers. So every time there's my goal right now is every time there's someone foreign who would be coming from our country, we gotta make a card out of them, have them sign it, put it in my collection.
So let's just go right into your collecting then before we get back to the card set. So collecting, like how long have you been collecting? Are you've always been a wrestling fan that's collected wrestling cards, or were you like a lot of us here, like here in the States? A lot of people grew up in what we call the traditional sports of baseball and basketball and football, stuff like that. Did you collect any of those kind of things, like maybe soccer or things like that when you were younger, and now you're wrestling?
Yeah, in the Philippines, we are a basketball country, so definitely I had NBA in my collection. But when it comes to pro wrestling, I'm one of those kids in high school who gets scolded by their professors or their teachers because you're doing the crotch chop every time. And I didn't know what it means back then. Now I know why they had to scold us. But yeah, I've been a fan, and I always wanted to have those wrestlers in my collection. I started with toys, went with shirts, and when I found cards, it's easier because I realized like if you have action figures, through time they melt. The shirts they get withered, but if you keep the cards well, their condition's gonna be good all throughout.
Plus, the action figures, man, when you start getting too heavy in that, they take up a lot of space.
Definitely, definitely.
You can fill up a whole room, no problem at all. It's like that. Uh, what about some your designs that you're doing? So, do you design these cards yourself?
So
Are you
it was designed by the Nutcase. He's a local
okay?
Filipino artist. He's known to design clothing. I can't mention the clothing brands, but he's
Sure,
designing clothing brands for other companies in the Philippines. So he's like a street artist,
gotcha.
so to speak. He started as a street artist, then he ventured into making merch and stuff. And when I saw that, I said we gotta do something, bring it to cards, because he's a card collector himself,
Nice.
but he's not into the local pro wrestling scene. And I said this is something you gotta watch. And once I got him in, he's up. He's up.
Well, what aspect do you have? What part of what are you? What is it that you do then for Fight Sport Manila then?
So what we do is we cover all combat sports events in the Philippines, pro wrestling, MMA, boxing, you name it. We're pretty much there. So we've also connected. We spoke to MMA fighters before they went to the UFC, and other promotions and any local promotion that runs through our country. Before the pandemic, we were there, but as you can see, as of right now, unlike America, where you could walk freely without a mask, we still have to adhere to COVID protocols.
Oh, really? Still going on there? I,
Yeah, man.
I've traveled quite a bit this year doing different countries with stuff, and it's interesting to see the protocols in different countries like that. So I know we just did the trip over in the UK, and everything was great until we got to Ireland, and Ireland says, you still have to be tested, kind of stuff, da da da. And then going over into Canada, they had pretty loose protocols there, but you still had to fill this little app out called Can App or something like that. But of course, they abolished that the week after I left. But it's interesting to see the different stuff that COVID stuff going in place right now. What you said you're a collector.
Yep.
What is the market like in the Philippines for card collecting, specifically for card collecting? Like, what kinds of things do collectors have access to there? Are wrestling cards abundant? Are they hard to come by? Are you strictly having to buy things online and paying an outrageous shipping fees? I mean, what's it like?
So when it comes to wrestling cards, WWE is very accessible, but AEW, so hard. That's why I'm here on doing is getting as much AEW product as I can. But when it comes to the card market, it's pretty much the same as in the US, where in the last 2 years, there's a big spike. But right now it's going down because, like, especially in basketball, everybody who wanted a Luka Doncic card already has it. But when it comes to wrestling, it's something that we introduced because people realize that, hey, I still need to have those in my collection. And the wrestling card is growing, but at the same time, it still comes with the price point. You can't pay, like, people aren't willing to pay big bucks as they did during the last 2 years. But
Well, I mean, COVID money was going crazy.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I mean, as the market has softened quite a bit across all collectibles, and we've talked about this on various other shows, whether it be on this show or Worlds Collide or other ones. And the market has softened. We've saw the boom. We have what we call new floors have been established in prices. So things that were $5 went to $30, $40 now are probably sitting on that $10 price point now. So they're more than what they were before COVID, but they're not as much as they were during COVID. And so that's kind of reasonable, I guess. But you say it's pretty abundant. Like, are you guys getting Panini products, or were you guys getting good stuff when it came to Topps products when they had the license?
So yeah, Tops was like, we are like near Japan, right? So NJPW cards,
Oh, that's
it
what part of
goes
that. Yeah.
it goes there, but not everyone has an eye for it. You have to find the perfect. You'll find it in the place where you least expect it. I got some NJPW cards, not in a card store. I got it like in a Japan antique shop. And that's how I got other cards as well. But yeah, Panini continuously pumps out product in our country, but we don't get as much hobby boxes as we would want to. It's mostly the blasters, the fat packs. And I understand it because it's so hard because aside from the prices, shipping to our country is pretty pricey. So let's say you have a $200 hobby box, you're probably going to pay double that just to get it passed through our country and through customs and other add-on fees.
That's incredible. Wouldn't think that double. I'm thinking like, oh, $200 box plus shipping, maybe, maybe with taxes and stuff like that, maybe about 250, but double that's outrageous.
Double.
Yeah, you're getting hit by customs is big time.
I mean, I don't want to speak about it because it's pretty.
I know.
But you know what's up. You know what's up.
I know what's up. I get a lot of times from people who wanted to place orders for my old Vela Cards Raw Deal website. They were like, hey, could you just put on there as a gift and make it for $5 values? I have to pay a lot on the customs. I'm like, that's not me, dude. I mean, that's you.
They got smart. They got smart. They realized that this card market is thriving and they're sleeping on it.
You said earlier, which I think is kind of incredible, about the market or fans saw that we put that stuff on our website for you. We put your card sets on our website, and now like it's like how's that affected things? I mean,
So me personally, I got surprised that people from other countries are now messaging me wanting to get their hands on the cards. But the thing is, I don't have as much because we release limited copies. Like the most we release is probably 30 pieces. And I can't give it to everyone because already in the Philippines, like I said, a lot of people got into some of the wrestlers there, so they would want that for their personal collections. So I don't have as much, but a lot of people are messaging me looking for those sets. And what's cool about the wrestling card community is they want sets.
Yeah.
Because like if you go basketball, they just go for one player. But I've noticed that when it comes to the wrestling card community all over the world, they want sets and not just one card.
Yeah, some people. When it comes to indie cards, I mean, we do have a lot of people in the hobby that we see that are like, they're indie star collectors. Like they're a player collector. But yeah, I think that you're probably correct in that. Where a lot of the indie card collectors just collect sets. Then they go after some of their favorite people and like individuals. Like I gotta have extras now of like such and such. So
And I wouldn't blame them. I mean, if I had my hands on MJF CZW or some FCW of Roman Reigns before he got big, I would want that in my collection as well, and I wouldn't sell it.
Yeah, it's just amazing. That's why I think people get so involved in the indie cards because you don't know who the next big star is going to be.
Exactly.
And it just it's a great way to introduce people to new characters they never knew existed, and now you're creating new fans through cards. I mean, cards tell a story, and especially wrestling cards. We've talked about this many times on the show about how it's a real nostalgic feeling that people who collect wrestling cards can be taken back to a moment. And sometimes when you're getting indie card stuff, it can take you to a particular star you had no idea about, and now you're like, I like the look of that person, and I'm going to now like just kind of follow them. I'm going to YouTube them and find out what kind of matches they've had. So and all of a sudden you become a fan.
Exactly. I mean, I'll give you one concrete example. With the World Underground Wrestling set, a lot of people are messaging me for the Alexis Lee autograph card. They're saying she looks like an Asian Thunder Rosa. And when I saw, yeah, there is some similarities with the face paint, but then they watch her matches and they realize, hey, she's different, but she's also cool. And that's the cool thing about, pro wrestling. They learn from us and I learn from them. And we get to continue this thing where we share something in common that we love. And yeah, that's Alexis Lee indeed.
It's a great looking card. Great looking card. The guy is doing some great designs. I do like them quite a bit. I don't collect like that anymore because I can easily find myself falling right back into like I gotta get to hit this up, man. I gotta get all these cards, man. They're so beautiful looking. I can't do it. I can't do it. It's these are cool cards. Do you guys?
Thank you.
You have so the buzz is good, which is great. It sounds like they're all going to sell out pretty quickly here. You got anything new coming out?
I'm gonna break. This is breaking news for you, and
Nice.
I haven't said this to anyone in the Philippines, so anyone watching from the Philippines would know this. Starting next year, we made a partnership with, I would say, the top pro wrestling promotion as of the moment, Manila Wrestling Federation. We have a partnership. We're going to be producing sets of their cards starting next year. So in the Philippines, they do it by season. So next year's season, we're gonna release a lot of cards from them, and hopefully if World Underground Wrestling and other wrestling promotion wants to have their own cards, they know where to find us.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. And do you guys have like a particular like a release time? Like, what does a season start in the Philippines?
So usually what we do in the Philippines, because we're big, we observe Christmas, New Year very well. So definitely there's no wrestling beyond that point. And they probably start around February or March.
Okay.
So as early as now, the nutcase is at his office creating as much
Working hard.
because the cool thing about having this freedom to have Manila Wrestling Federation is that we're allowed to create as much cards as we want, and we have access to the whole roster, because I'm sure you had guests there who had to produce their own cards. It's so hard to individually ask permission to the indie wrestlers. Hey, can we make this design of you? The inbox gets messy, but we're going straight to the source. We're gonna make a lot of chase cards, a lot of parallels. We're gonna make it something collectible for all collectors out there.
Wow, for the completists out there, you have a challenge now, sir. You have a challenge. God, I'm kind of excited about it, especially for indie card collectors. It's such a boom these last several years with so many different promotions putting out stuff, because we've always said that it's just such a cheap way to promote your promotion. Whether you're going to give them away, whether you're going to sell them, it's also a great way for local talent to make some money at the gimmick table if they want to go and sell some cards and sign them. It's just, cards are the way to go, man. They're so cool to go. So I'm looking forward to it, and I hope that when they do come out, we get all the juicy gossip and information so we can put all those checklists together for you guys and put them out down on WTC.
Well, I have your email, and you know that before it releases, I'm going to be sending everything.
I love to have all the information. That's what if I collect anything, that's what I collect. I collect information. I love it.
And that's a cool thing. That's a cool thing about your site, man. Like, I myself realized that there are other cards from other countries that I am not aware of, and that's the cool thing. WrestlingTradingCards.com, all the wrestling cards in the world is shown there.
We're trying, man. Every day we find something new. We find corrections to old stuff. Sometimes you keep looking, your eyeballs keep seeing the same thing over and over again, and you overlook things, and a fresh new pair of eyes goes, hey, I noticed that's spelt wrong, or that's not correct, or so it's always a growing thing, and we just try to stay on top of as much as we can and provide that information to the collectors out there, because an informed collector is a good collector. So
for sure
we'll have to get the information, man. Hey, so I really appreciate you coming on, man. Always fun to learn new things from different parts of the world. Hopefully someday down the road we'll run into each other at a convention maybe or something. And where can people find you? Where can they find information about upcoming projects of yours? All the Fight Sport Manila information. Where can they find you?
Well, we're on Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram. But in the Philippines, Facebook is the way to go for your go-to source, and that's the reason why the World Underground Wrestling is more active on Facebook, because the Philippines is a Facebook country. So type Fight Sport Manila on Facebook, and we're gonna give you all the information you need. And if you cannot, WrestlingTradingCards.com. Definitely sending you all the information.
Yeah. Well, as far as everything that's going on with Fight Sport Manila, if their Facebook seems to be very active, over 10,000 likes, 11K followers, according to the statistics on their site. So there's a lot of people checking out your stuff, and I think they're going to be very excited about what you guys got coming out here in the future. I know I'm excited. I know wrestling card collectors are excited, and I appreciate your time, man. It's like that. For everything for WrestlingTradingCards.com, you know where to go, WrestlingTradingCards.com. All information's on the bottom of every single page of our website. All of our social media outlets are there. Get on there, like this channel, subscribe, bitch, complain, praise, whatever you like to do, man. As long as you are engaging and talking about the hobby, our hobby is growing every single day. It gets a little bit bigger, and we're trying to keep up with this growth here. So appreciate your time, man. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for inviting me, and hopefully the next time we release something new, I get to break it here again.
Hey, you're welcome to come on anytime. You let me know when you are got something coming out and you want to come back on, and we'll promote the hell out of it.
For sure, man. See you soon.
All right, thanks, Rosh. I appreciate it, man.